Funafuti Atoll, the capital and one of 9 islands comprising the remote nation of Tuvalu. This is one of the smallest countries in the world. Its average elevation of 2 meters makes Tuvalu extremely vulnerable to storms and sea level rise.
Yanji, we know that sea level has been rising for more than 100 years, and now UH researchers have discovered that it's the most important reason for coastal erosion in Hawaii.
Countries in Oceania face many problems due to the cause of rising sea levels. Besides the damage inflicted by sea level rise itself, coastal erosion, surface flooding, and saltwater intrusion into soil and groundwater, they will suffer from increasingly frequent and severe weather extremes, droughts, and cyclones. And die-offs of their coral reefs caused by coral acidification can lead to potential collapse of many marine ecosystems that provide the food and the livelihoods for these island dwellers. For example, low-lying stretches of atoll islands such as Tuvalu's most populous island are sometimes overwashed by the highest spring tides called king tides. This happens a few times a year, overwashing their roads.
People the world over migrate in search of a better life. But this is a story about people on 2 small Pacific Island nations being forced to move by the potential disappearance of their homeland underwater. People have started to leave the islands, abandoning their homes. It's a concern shared by the nearby island nation of Kiribati.
It'd be a very sad day when there will no longer be a country, a nation, a people called Kiribati.
The president says his people have the next few decades to prepare for relocation.
We are preparing our people, equipping them to be able to relocate if and when necessary with dignity. We would not wish to see our people as climate change refugees.
Sea level rise and unusually big waves are threatening the Kiribati population of about 100,000 people.
What personally I would like to see happen is for us to maintain a nation of Kiribati somehow. We have to do that so that the new generation or generations of Kiribati people in different parts of the world will have somewhere to go to say that this is what once was our nation.
As warming climate drives sea levels upward, low-lying island nations face an uncertain future or no future at all. Industrialized nations such as the United States and China are major contributors to climate change because of curbed emissions and contributing to the melting of ice sheets, which leads to the rising sea levels. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, with continued ocean and atmospheric warming, sea levels will likely rise for many centuries at higher rates than the current rates that is going on right now. In the United States, almost 40% of the population lives in relatively high population density coastal areas, where sea levels play a major role in flooding, shoreline erosion, and hazards from storms. Globally, 8 of the world's 10 largest cities are near a coast.
We have noticed for decades here in Hawaii, and in fact this is true around the country and around the world, that the policies to protect our beaches, to protect public access to the ocean and along the shoreline, policies to protect open space and policies to protect the environment are actually failing to do so. And revetments, which are simply sloping seawalls, to protect their property against erosion. And this has several effects. Number one, in an era of rising sea level, it's actually accelerating sea level rise, the shoreline needs to move landward or it will drown. If you want beaches in the future, you are going to have to allow the beach to migrate landward, which means that our homes are now in the wrong place, our roads are now in the wrong place, and we need to figure out an exit strategy, a way to get out of the way, rather than to build walls to prevent the coastal environment, prevent the beach from doing what it needs to do to stay alive under sea level rise.
Waves, wind, and rain. Sure, the weather plays a role in coastal erosion, but a pair of UH geologists have found the key factor is sea level rise, and it's going up faster in Maui than Oahu.
The Big Island is pushing down on the Pacific Plate, and there's kind of a moat that goes around there. Maui is closer to that, and so it's sinking a little faster. And as you move away to Oahu, it's not sinking at such a fast rate.
But overall, Brad Romine of the UHC grant program and Chip Fletcher of the School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology say at 6 inches a century, sea level rise in Hawaii is not as fast as the global average of 1 foot. They say it's because winds in the Pacific help to push a lot of water to the west of us. Still, we shouldn't let our guard down.
It's been predicted that sea level rise will be on the order of 1 foot by mid-century and 3 feet by the end of the century.
And with this new research, we know this rise will play a significant part in eroding Hawaii's shores in the decades ahead.
When it comes to beach erosion and sea level rise, there's no magic wand. The number of tools that you have at your disposal for managing the problem is very limited, and typically they're very expensive.
Currently, more than 13 miles of beaches have been lost on Kauai, Oahu, and Maui to erosion fronting seawalls and other shoreline unmooring. Approximately 550 cultural sites would become chronically flooded with sea level rise exposure in that area if the sea does continue to rise. Also, flooding, hurricanes, and tropical cyclones could occur at any time due to the greenhouse gas emissions are the leading cause of climate change. In order to take care of that, we need to reduce our carbon footprint. And to do that, we should use less electricity, take shorter showers, unplug the electronics when they're not in use, and stuff of that sort. Wetlands act as a natural buffer for coastal areas during rainstorms and hurricanes. Protecting our wetlands and restoring them can help absorb the precipitation and storm surge waters. A lot of us put in our efforts this semester as we all went to either Paepaeheia or Waikalua Fish Pond. Over there was a good example of restoring our wetlands. Another way to combat climate change is reducing your energy use. Reducing your energy usage is good for your wallet and the environment. Turn off your lights and appliances when not in use and replace them with more energy efficient varieties. Unplug your chargers and appliances when possible because many use energy when turned off. Also, perhaps you could leave your car at home if you live within 1 or 2 mile radiuses of where you're trying to get to. Vehicles are a leading source of carbon dioxide production. Reducing the number of cars on the road by carpooling, walking, and biking, or using mass transit can help the environment. Also, when driving, you should turn your car off idling for more than 30 seconds. This will conserve the fuel, save money for your car, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Some personal steps I've taken to help reduce climate change is plant my own trees in my backyard. Over the past year or so, me and my brothers were working together, and we planted a lot of stuff around our yard. Here we have our banana trees that's been growing. We also have a lot of tea leaf and palm trees around the house. Pineapples, basil, rosemary. And as we come over here, you can see some taro plants that we planted just 2 months ago, and they're already that big. And then we're planning to grow some more on the bed to the right of it. Over here you can see a Meyer lemon tree. It's not fruiting yet, but in about 1 year, next summer, it should have a lot of lemons on it. Over here you can see the cilantro, parsley, basil, spinach. We have garlic growing, cucumber on the fence, green onions, grape tomatoes. So we're just doing this so that we can live sustainably, and say if one day our food sources got cut off, we could live off the land for a couple months, just off what we grow. And over here we have a chicken coop. Soon to get chickens. It's just a new project that we're working on so that we can get some organic eggs and live off of that too.